Gruesome Magazine.
Hey, Dave here from Gruesome Magazine. I'm here with my partner in podcasting crime, Christopher Moore. Chris, say hey.
Hello.
Hey. And we are here. We've got something really special today. We have got, you guys should know this guy already from Chillerama, Everly, Knights of Badassdom. This is director Joe Lynch. Say hey, Joe.
Hey, see, I said hey. Chris said hello. I'm just saying you might want to go back to one and get take two.
I switched it up. I wanted to switch it up, keep it everything off balance a little bit. But we're here to talk about your new flick, Suitable Flesh. Christopher and I just watched it last evening.
Did you watch? Wait. Did you watch it? Did you watch it together?
No. I'm in Ohio.
No.
He's in North Carolina. No, we're in separate entities.
Damn it.
But we did
I
watch
was hoping that you guys would be like on the couch, glass of wine. Things get a little funky. Start looking at each other, going.
Well, you're taking this in a direction I was not expecting, Joe. That's all I can say.
You saw the movie. You saw the movie. That's hopefully we took things in directions no one saw coming.
No one saw coming. I got to ask you, I want to start off asking you what it was like to step into this universe. Obviously, H.P. Lovecraft adaptation by Dennis Paoli with Barbara Crampton producing. I mean, you're kind of treading in Stuart Gordon territory here with Reanimator from Beyond.
Treading. I'm literally jumping on the puddle at this point.
So what was that like for you?
It was two universes, to be honest. It was obviously the one that H.P. Lovecraft established back in the 20s, and how he would interconnect all of those other stories. I always thought that was so cool, but also as standalone stories, I thought that was, the kind of the iconoclast for cosmic horror, for otherworldly dimensional horror, for body horror, especially with like Reanimator and From Beyond. And then you got Stuart Gordon's interpretation of it, along with Dennis Paoli and Brian Usna, then Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs along for the ride. So it was, it was well-worn territory that I wanted to completely honor, from the word go. I mean, when Barbara sent me the script, I was a little nervous because it's like, I gotta try to appease two different factions of fans, not just the Lovecraft fans, which there are many, but also the Stuart Gordon fans, which I know there are many as well. And funny enough, I was both of them. So it kind of worked out great, So a lot of times it was just trying to appease what I would want to see if Stuart had directed this movie, or if this was an honorable H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, which kind of would be something that Stuart would have directed anyway. So there's a lot of overlap as well.
Actually, Christopher, I'm gonna hand off to you, buddy.
Yeah, well, as a fellow filmmaker, I think one of the things I really appreciated is the visual palette you created for this film, from the split diopter shots to the iris outs to there's a Texas switch that happens in the first sex scene. A lot of the transitions, the kinetic camera work. What was a lot of these visual things that you created to tell this story? Did you have that from the outset, or was that something you developed in the process of making the film?
Hearing a fellow filmmaker pick up on those little things, Chris, means the world to me, because whether general audiences, casual viewers or not, get that. Not that I want to wink, wink, nudge, nudge to all the other film dorks out there, but I kind of feel like it's the same sort of thing that you could almost see like De Palma doing as like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to all of his film buddies like Lucas and Spielberg and, Coppola, like doing these homages to other filmmakers' work were things that always got me excited, and were things that I would always be excited to talk to other filmmakers about. Or if there were filmmakers, like modern filmmakers, that I would see employing these techniques, I'd be like, I see what you did there. There are little things that, whether a general audience notices or not, it's part of the tapestry that we're trying to weave. And if you're lucky, you do have people notice those things. I wanted to, from the beginning of this process, especially when it was okay, go. Not only were we watching a lot of the Stuart Gordon films and a lot of the Miskatonic, verse kind of films, and even Lovecraft films, but a lot of the things that you just mentioned, split iris, split diopter, the split screen, a lot of splits, split legs, but that's a whole nother thing. All the different little, I guess visual accoutrements that I love, all my visual fetishes. I was like, here is an opportunity for me to employ all of those, hopefully without being too egregious and too self-serving, but to me, those are little secret handshakes. Those are those little things that I feel like we can get away with. Now, if I'm using techniques that would be more employed in a Farrelly Brothers movie, maybe this is not the right movie to, to use those. But, the thing that I loved about this, the ability of this story to be told, was that this was Elizabeth Derby's version of the story. And I feel like she would have visualized this because in my head, she was a big fan of Dress to Kill back in the day, or she was watching a lot of erotic thrillers from the 90s. So she's using in her own head, whether she knows it or not, she's using this visual language. She grew up in the era of the Skinamax movie. So she's got a lot of those fuzzy focus things. And, all of the tropes that you would see in those movies, I felt were employable here because they wouldn't be too far out of the realm of her version of the story. We don't use a lot of those tricks in the book ending sections of the movie. Those were actually shot much more stark. So anything that we tried to use, all of those De Palma-esque moments, all those Verhoeven moments, those were all there within the story she's telling, because in my head, that's the version that she would tell. So I'm so glad you picked those up, man. I'm really, really happy. That Texas switch, though, that was our first day.
Oh,
And that
wow.
meant that I don't know why this happened, but it just happened to be scheduled because we had all three actors in the same room for one day, because Jonathan had to go off and do another movie for a couple of days. We weren't going to be able to have Jude on set. So pro tip to filmmakers, don't do a sex scene on your first day. But when you have Heather Graham, Jonathan Scheck, Judah Lewis, all completely mature actors, all completely professional, all completely aware of how I was going to shoot it, because I did storyboards for that whole scene, so they knew exactly what I was going to do. They were having so much fun doing it, especially the Texas switch. I wish someone got video of the moment where Jonathan goes down on Heather, and you're like, well, okay, good for them. They're bringing up a female, sexuality scene and from a female gaze, and he's going down on her. Holy shit! This 20-year-old just popped up between her legs. Like the choreography of that. God, I wish there was a camera on that, because it would have been fucking hilarious. So, but I'm glad you picked up on all that stuff.
I'm glad you explained as you can probably tell, Christopher is our resident film guy. He
Oh,
knows all film.
I'm well aware.
I
thought there was another Chris Moore. I'm like, oh shit, is this the same Chris Moore?
I'm the one that's going to be going, is Barbara Crampton cool? And he's going to be asking all these technical questions. So I'm like, what the heck's a Texas switch? But you explained it, so thank you for doing that. Didn't know what it meant.
Like
now I do.
Someone explains it to you, you can't unsee it in movies. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a great choreography thing that you do between the actors and the performers, and make it seem like it's one performer, but it's actually usually like a stunt person or somebody else. Watch enough Star Trek episodes and you'll know what I'm talking about.
And now that's all I'm going to be able to see now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Chris, with your follow-up question.
Well, as someone that made a short film called Backward Creep, which involved the backward camera on a car, I read an interview you did with Fangoria, but can you sort of tell us again how you came up with that concept and how you incorporated it into? That's actually probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, because it's somebody I always want to see someone use it properly, and because I did it in a short film, I was like, yay! So tell us a little bit about how that came about.
It was something. So we're referring to something that in the film we don't want to give too much away, but it's something that we've lovingly dubbed the smatching and the stabbiting. And both, one was incredibly calculated. The other was, I hate to say it, a testament to the creative process when you have to make a lot of lemonade. With the backup camera, that's something that I've had in my back pocket for, God, over 15 years now, ever since I bought a Prius. And I'm like, why hasn't anyone used this in a kill scene? But the thing is, you have to do it in a way that there's no cut. There was a point in the edit where one of our producers said, you have to cut. You have, like, this is boring. Like, the audience isn't gonna enjoy it unless you do a zoom or cut to the close-up. I'm like, fuck that. There's absolutely no way. I'm telling you, the longer you hold on this shot, the more the illusion will solidify, and it will make it feel even more brutal, because the audience is going to go like, oh shit, I haven't seen that before. Oh shit, they're doing it again. Dear Christ, they're doing it again. Like, you needed the longevity of that one take. So the smatching was something I've always wanted to do. It wasn't in the original script. In the original script, he falls to the ground, or it falls to the ground, and then that, one of the other characters stabs them a lot. And then with that, the unfortunate situation of shooting that night and having to get one more take, because every time we did that backup camera shot, that was a half an hour reset, maybe 45. So we needed to, I needed to get it right. So by the time we got to the stab part, I had no more time. I had 30 minutes before the light was coming up, and I still had 4 more shots to tell the story. So I had one angle on Heather with 2 cameras, and one angle on Judah getting stabbed, which we shot like later on with only 1 take. And then it was through editing, we found this beautiful way of creating this effect that made it seem like almost hyper real in a way. It was almost like Unchi and Andalou in a way, very experimental. But having those 2 back to back, one long take and one shot that Michael Bay would probably cream. There's so many cuts. That to me was like that. I agree. That's my favorite scene also, because it's those 2 completely divergent ways of shocking the audience. Hopefully, done completely through different techniques.
Well, it was both shocking and made me laugh as well. So.
Perfect. Well, that's the stuff that I grew up with too. When you watch Reanimator, half the time you're watching something so outrageous, you can't not laugh. And I think that is a pressure valve for the audience to release tension. It depends on the movie, of course. Some movie, if you're watching Saving Private Ryan or Come and See and having a laugh right, you might want to check your sanity at the door. But for other movies that we grew up with, Evil Dead 2, Return of the Living Dead, Reanimator, any of the Friday the 13th slasher movies, the release of laughter is a way to release tension. And that's something we wanted to do with this, was to make it so outrageous and so violent, but never wink at the audience, so that the audience goes like, wow, okay, I have to laugh, because there's no other emotion I can get away with,
Before we have to wrap this up, I just want you.
Yeah, give me one more. You're good.
To talk about the great performances you got out. Now, I mean, all of your actors are playing kind of multiple roles, multiple personalities, let's say, as they do this. And I was totally blown away by Heather and Judah. Which is it?
Judah. Yep.
Judah. Yeah, and even Barbara Crampton when that happens. What was how do you go about getting? Is that more them than you, or do you have to give them that instruction?
No, that was, first clever, like really good casting. We got Heather first. And once you get that first actor and that you have their faith in the project, everybody else kind of falls into place. Judah wanted to do it because he was a big fan of Heather. Barbara wanted to do it, who was not going to be in the film at all. She just wanted to be a producer. But once we started to gather this cast, that also included Jonathan Sheck and Bruce Davison. Once we got everybody together, she almost was like that kid that's standing in the corner of the playground and seeing everybody else playing, and she wants to play too. She's like, oh man, damn it, I'm in, and then she came in as well. But once you got them together, we only had maybe 3 or 4 Zoom calls, and then we had like one big rehearsal day, and then I separately met with a couple of them a couple times. We didn't have a week of rehearsals, so we had to be incredibly clever with how we were conveying all the little ticks, all the different lines, the way that some of us, some of the actors spoke. The other actors would come to set and watch how Bruce Davison spoke, or watch how Heather spoke, or watch how Judith spoke, and took notes. And then they would come back and they would start to affect how each of them spoke, so that they were essentially conjuring the entity through their performance. And that's why we have something, to me, I think, we have a character that you never see, that is being made completely by all of these other actors who have just found little ticks and compiled them all together like shawarma, like a character shawarma, and then just built up this character into what it is.
That's a great way to put that. That really is. Well, Suitable Flesh, October 27th, theaters, VOD everywhere. See it. That's all I can say. See it. You got to check it out.
Thank you. Hopefully you get laid, if I can say anything about it. October 27th, get ready to get laid.
Joe, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time, man.
It's an honor.
Thank you so much, guys. Guys, seriously, thank you so much. Keep up the good fight for horror. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
to some magazine.